Last time you saw me was at Off-Road Expo. That was the last time I drove the truck, and
it's gonna be like, I don't think
the
so.
flip. But yeah, the last time I actually saw this truck was when I dropped it off here at Kevin's shop, and this was my first time actually seeing it. Everything's looking really good, and I'm happy with it. Let's see what they've done to the truck since the last time I flipped it.
What's up, guys? Kevin from Quixotic Motorsports. We're here in the Shark Den with Zach Ducky's truck, doing some major repair work on it. Let's check it out. So basically what we got here is a brand new cab, but it's not as easy as it looks. So in order to get this new cab on, we literally cut the truck from back firewall to front firewall. The whole entire roll cage was cut out of it. All the floor was cut out of it from the build years ago, so that we could start fresh with this fresh cab, not have to cut the roof off again, not have to cut the running boards off. Basically got the center of the cab, put a fresh cab on here, and then start from scratch and build a whole new cage again. So this truck was originally 1 3/4 cage. So now with the new rules intact in 2023, they require a 2-inch roll cage chromoly. So we did all new 2-inch main tubes for all front to rear, A pillar to B pillar, a whole new 2-inch subframe that's connected in multiple points to the chassis. And it's going to be a lot more solid, a lot safer than it previously was.
That was good. That was way good. I couldn't even keep up. I was like, yeah.
So this is a single cab, so it's pretty typical in a single cab to have an external B-pillar cage like this. So that means instead of being inside the cage, we move the B-pillar to the outside in order to get more space in for your seats and headroom inside. We added a couple extra tubes in here. It didn't have either of these tubes before, and it didn't have this tube. So these are new in order to tie in the chassis, triangulate it better, get some more strength. There were some issues with the shock mounts from when the rollover happened. This side was a little higher than this side, or actually it was the other way around, huh? This side was a little lower than this side, so we literally cut everything out from here so that this was floating. We cut all this apart, pulled this side down, pushed that side up to get it level, and then basically re-supported everything back as straight as we possibly could get it in order to straighten the truck out. And from there, all these tubes in here were existing, tie into the subframe, transmission mount, all that stuff, and we couldn't really get into all that, cut all that out. So we basically, it was kind of a game of like, how far do we cut to where is it worth it, you know, to the extra work, or are we going to be able to work with what we have still? So we ended up cutting it into like right here and spliced it back in for the seat tubes to come out, tied everything back into the floor. And now, instead of having a factory sheet metal floor like it did before, it was pretty hacked up, cracked, lots of holes in it, duct tape filling all the cracks and stuff. Now we're going to have a full custom sheet metal floor that's fully sealed, and it'll just be a lot stronger. It was saved a lot of weight with the old cab metal, and just going to be better overall. So Ducky's going to be able to beat on this thing a little bit harder than he even was before.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate, but that rollover, we found out there was a lot of damage that wasn't even from that rollover. That's just accumulative over the years of thrashing and racing, and the truck's been through a lot in its lifespan. So it's actually it was a good thing. We were able to find some cracks and some other things that were a little bit unsafe in the long term of racing. So now we got all those things taken care of, and I feel a lot better about him going out and thrashing this thing and doing 100 miles an hour in it than we did before. So, and that's the goal, is to keep him safe.
Amen. Yeah, that was on point right there. That was good. Another thing I want to point out too is, like, when we started digging into this thing, it was on paper, you're like, oh, we just cut here. But it's easier to say, but when you cut off the front of a truck, you can go one way with it. When you cut out the middle of a truck, it's something that takes years of us building things to understand how to tie it back in properly and make sure that we're not just like basically just graphing in with an open space. We want to make sure that where we tie it into is actually going to be structural and make sure everything's straight when we do it. So it was quite the task. It was definitely a fun learning curve for Kevin and I, because we're both battling back and forth, like not battling, but kind of bouncing ideas off each other back and forth on how we're gonna tie it in, what junction we want to do it to, what design we want to do. So it was actually a great learning curve for all of us in a way. So it's been interesting, but we nailed it though. We're definitely on the right track, and this thing's going to be a tank. I'm pretty stoked on it.
It's definitely been a bit of a challenge trying to figure out how everything is going to come back together better than before. You know, there's certain tubes that we had to cut that we got to figure out how to miter back in and just make everything flow and all the load paths go where they're supposed to go, so that if this thing does take an unfortunate spill again, it's going to be as safe as possible. So yeah, the front suspension and the rear is all still good. The back, the fuel cell has a little bit of a twist to it that there's not much we can do about right now, but that's not going to affect the overall dynamics of the truck at all. It's just kind of a aesthetic thing. So yeah, we got it all straightened back out for the most part. I think we'll actually be able to put a windshield back in it this time, and maybe a back window, and
Heck yeah.
be racing like Darren Parsons out there.
Roll up the windows and turn the music up, baby.
The full tint so no one can see you. Yeah, she's coming back together. We're happy with how the progress is coming.
And what's cool about it too is now that we have our hands on it, we're able to make the cab easily removable for the future, because sometimes when you're building something you don't plan on taking the cab back off, you know.
Yeah.
So now we're at the point where like, oh, now we can actually make it easier for future accidents.
Yeah,
you know?
next cab will
So like things
it
like
happens.
this, the Rangers have always had the welded, spot welded on cowl, and you can see how many spot welds I had to drill to get this thing off of the original cab, front and inside and out. So instead of actually welding this whole thing back on, we're just gonna bolt it back on basically, so that if in case of an accident, it's easy to take back off, and B, like you can get into here. There's actually a compartment in here, like the windshield compartment, that's not used for anything.
This is patent pending. You can't actually put this on the internet. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
It'll just allow a little more ease of access to work on the race truck like this, and
Make it
better
more
in the long
serviceable.
run. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a word. There wasn't that back part right here, wasn't there? Just wasn't here in the cab.
Oh, that's true. There wasn't.
So it was like up against the tube.
But the tube. What? But this, I think this stuff was closer in because of the.
It was, yeah. It was like integrated into the where that. Remember the
Right.
roof sat on that tube.
Right.
So that's gonna be as far as we can go, is back to that cab right there.
Which. I don't know. Yeah.
we
We'll
can
see how.
we can like skin that
Hop in
as close
there and
as
see
we
how it
can.
feels. Zach.
Yeah, we could also take that lip off on the
Just
inside.
like grab the tube right here and slip yourself in.
Okay. We can get like a half inch or everybody taking this lip off the inside.
Oh well, that's what a window.
No, not this lip. The inside one. See where my finger is?
So there's no gas pedal, but based on the brake pedal, how close is that? Kind of back, or
That actually looks good.
I think that's good.
that's pretty close right
It's pretty
there.
close.
That looks pretty good.
What would you want to be up a little more?
I feel like a little bit more down because of my helmet.
So when I invented those seat brackets, it was actually like higher up than it was right now.
Well,
But
You can lock the steering wheel up if you want. Wanna grab the wheel?
Getting taller, Zach.
yeah, that's true too. Here too. Just when you attach it, adjuster.
that's pretty much where it was.
Already has the uniball.
Hey, Kev.
I don't think
Kevin.
any extra shit.
Extra shit you don't need.
I think this thing might need to be on top right here.
I think that's what I was thinking. If there's enough room between the dash. It went under before, or we can shorten it and then go straight off the front too.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it looks good. You
Looks,
look comfy.
yeah. I'd say a little bit more back, but not much.
We can go about an inch back.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we can't. The cab right here on the seat, on the
Yeah,
side.
these freaking bolsters are so huge on these.
You want to measure like the roof to the steering wheel too? Just get a rough idea.
Do you like where the steering wheel was before? You know,
Yeah.
like-
I like it pretty
was good.
close. Where it is right now, I like it.
So if we line it back up in the dash in the same place, it should be.
Yeah.
And then we go off that measurement that you just took just to get a
Yeah,
ballpark.
double check.
So yeah, this is our only thing right here, but we could trim that back a little. Just notch that out a little bit, because that's just the seat.
So are you able to hit the brake all the way right there, you think? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of remember how the tube was integrated like into the cab. That's why you didn't have the back window space. So that had to have been over more than to go recessed into the cab. the seat had to be over. That's why that mark is right there.
It wasn't that far back though. I'm like on these soft brackets. You look at where it was. It's kind of crazy.
So it's the angle then. They were more straight up and down. They must have been more straight up and down, and that made it kind of feel back more.
So if you look at this, so these two tubes are the same place basically as it was. But you can see how far like up. I guess it was maybe further back, but it was like up here. Look how much angle front to back it had, and they added this on.
You said this tube is the same?
These both these tubes are the ones we sleeved into.
So off the front right there, we're looking at like 17 and 8, something like that. So it was further back, but straight up and down more. Look, Kevin, you can see the edge of the seat is that mark. So they were in more.
What?
And then they were back.
I don't know how they were. Maybe they were more kicked in.
These are the same seats.
Yeah.
So you must have just been more in the center, so you're like kind of offset to the pedals
Maybe,
more.
yeah.
It did, I was a little bit to the left.
We moved this out too, so this is closer to the cab. This other one came down in there more. Like that's probably why it had this notch right here for that tube.
Yeah, we moved this over.
So it's kind of better where you are though right now, because you're centered on the steering wheel, you're centered on the pedals more.
Yeah.
It looks like centered to this tube, pretty good. So.
And this can go anywhere, so we'll just put it back in the dash hole where it was. And we can move it if it feels like it's off center a little.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Just
The
re-notch
bracket
the
tacked up to where it's in the right place, and we can adjust it a little bit. I wonder if it was like
That's what I'm
Cocked a little.
kicked sideways a
Kicked
little
sideways
bit too.
and then up against
That'd be
it.
funky.
Yeah.
We'll keep it better like this.
Yeah, we'll try and keep this straight.
I know Darby's when I put the elbows in his, it kind of stuck through a little bit too, but it wasn't as close to this because he has the extra cab.
The door
I guess
closes
the front door's the
On
same.
that.
on this, and it has like the same dimple, but it doesn't. The seal's like an inch, almost an inch thick, like 3/4 of an inch thick. So we'll put a door on it and put the seat in it and kind of check everything out.
Well, it looks good right there. It feels fine right there.
Yeah.
Plenty of high too.
Yep.
So that's
You,
good.
you can grow a little bit.
You can make that the very highest adjustment.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
why I was
go
gonna,
down from
I was
there.
gonna
Yeah.
set it that way, anyways. It's like
Yeah.
front forward, like or like yeah.
I just don't want to be super low and I can't see out. Then you're fucking like,
Yeah,
as a passenger, getting beat up.
for sure.
All right, yeah, I'll make it so the way I have it drawn is like I'll put it on the top one, and there'll be one you can drop it like 3/4 of an inch too.
Okay. Sure.
This is actually nice to see right here because you can see where we can do the floor too. I'm visualizing it right now.
Oh yeah, you're still.
The floor could literally just go across the top
Straight
of these
across, and then you
tubes.
got lots of room underneath. For you could put a spare part under here, dude. You can like snake something in there.
More centered.
Centered,
You're
yeah.
not. You're like before you were
Yeah,
like kind of
because
right
you
on the-
remember when our feet, we had to like slide over a little
Yeah.
bit? Our feet were off.
Okay, so because the
Straight.
pedals are off to the side, they turn the seat
Yeah.
off to the side a little bit.
Now it feels like you're going straight sideways.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to the graveyard for a little
Dude,
while.
we were almost convinced it was done. We were like,
I was
man.
almost like, hey, you guys just pull everything off. And just build a
We
new
thought
truck.
about it. We talked about it.
Yeah.
It was on the plate for sure.
Yeah, you cut enough tubes out, you can fix it.
Yeah, it was just kind of one of those like, how far do we keep going? You know,
Yeah,
it's
like, how
like-
far is we go to make it worth it, like, or to the point where it's not worth it anymore? Like,
Yeah,
what do we
right.
do?
No, we did it, dude. We did it. She's back.
It looks so much stronger now with the big tubing
Yes.
and all the extra, gussets and corners, and the floor is so much better.
Yeah. And Kevin did a lot of trimming to the cab. Like, you wouldn't think that putting a 1/4 inch bigger diameter tubing in there makes a big difference, but it does.
It
It's
does.
a lot tighter, or like, takes up a little more room, and Kevin really took out a lot of sheet metal to get this as tight as we could.
It looks so tight.
Like right here, your blind spot is very minimal because you put it so close to the A-pillar.
Yeah.
You know, when you're sitting in the seat, all you see is like the factory width of the A-pillar right here.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's it. What about that area you were kind of worried about in this area? Should we plate that backside? Here?
What? Oh, and the.
Yeah, we're most likely just gonna
I
weld
mean, we
that
might
on.
as well just weld it all together
Just weld it all together.
Yeah, just
at this point.
weld this
We
seam.
were worried about it.
Weld
just
all
box-
this seam.
welding
Box
like
the back
shit
a
to
And
little
then
bit.
box the back a little bit, because this is kind of just a weak point here.
And then this guy, we're gonna come up, and Kevin's gonna miter this guy in here.
It's gonna be kind of awkward.
No, it's gonna be fine. The load that we're putting into that, because it's going straight into this. When we do graph it back in, it's not like side loading at all. It's straight into the junction that I'm gonna
trim this back a little angle, probably the same angle as this, cap it, and then we'll have like a little sleeve in here, as long of a sleeve as I can get to get it to still get that tube in there. And now it has this tube here too that it didn't have before.
Okay, good.
Where this was kind of floating in here.
Do you want to divulge any wrap plans or keep it a secret?
Me and my dad thought about doing the exact same like stock red color. I think I want to just go with the same blue and a little actual design on it.
Yeah. Instead of just like words, like do like those pictures you're showing me of the drift cars.
Yeah, the drift cars. Cause I like that style for drift cars. So
Yeah.
see, I feel like it's a little high up, but I think it's because the bar used to be like right in the middle, but now I actually have room and I can't really hit my head. We're also gonna actually add sliders and change the seat adjustment. So
Luxury PreRunner?
luxury.
You can have heating in there too for the
I'm not
cold
Paul.
races.
I'm not Paul.
It's the next event you're gonna try to have this out at.
I think we're just gonna be doing pre-running and not pre-running testing and just Dilemmas, I think. Christmas around there. Holidays.
I'm just saying, dude. I saw your name on the King of Hammers race roster.
We are doing King of Hammers. That's the next race.
Yeah.
Next race. We're gonna be doing testing.
It's like 30.
Yeah.
You're gonna have it done by New Year's?
Not done yet, but enough for me to drive.
Drivable.
Okay.
Dang. Okay.
Back up and running hopefully. No windshield yet, but.
Okay.
Gotta feel fast by not going fast.